when you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing. Just win, baby.
Go, Raider Nation, and welcome back to another episode of Just Pod Baby. Of course, I'm your host, Evan Groat. As always, we are coming at you from the Silver and Black Today Media Group, part of the silverandblacktoday.com. Got another jam-packed episode for you this week. We're going to be discussing the draft, of course. I'll give you my recap and some of my thoughts. And also, I have some sound bites from General Manager Mike Mayock, as he was a guest this week on SiriusXM's Moving the Chains on NFL Channel. Some really good insight there into what the thought process was for him and Coach Gruden when they made some of these selections. So some of you who may be feeling a little bit, uneasy still about these picks, maybe a little bit on the fence still, I think you're going to feel a lot better after you hear what Mayock had to say about the selections. Also, later in the show, we will be joined by a very special guest. New Las Vegas Raider 4th-round selection cornerback Amik Robertson will join us here on Just Pod Baby. And if you don't already, you guys are going to love Amik Robertson after you hear this interview. I walked away from our conversation feeling extremely confident that Mayock and Gruden absolutely made the right choice for this guy, so be sure to tune in for that later on. And before I dive into draft content today, I do want to begin this episode by talking for a few minutes about some news that relates to all 32 teams in the league, not only the Raiders, and that is the schedule. As I'm sure many of you are aware, the original schedule release date is generally a week before the draft, but this year it was pushed back to May 7th was the date. There are some reports, again, coming out today that it will be pushed back a second time. So, again, all this is due, of course, to the COVID-19 pandemic. According to what I've read online today, the major holdup for the second possible delay here with the releasing of the schedule is that there is still so much uncertainty if the season will even start on time, or if it will be delayed by a couple weeks, or, really, you might have to face reality if we will have football at all. You keep hearing those conversations, especially in the college game. So, it's something you may have to start wrapping your head around at some point. Now, I'm going to read to you a quote from Ben Fisher of the Sports Business Daily. He said, talking about the ticket industry, the insiders are arguing against it, explaining that committing to games and times and selling tickets to these games without more clarity about whether the 2020 season can proceed with fans present would amount to inviting trouble. And of course, that makes a ton of sense. But I would say to that, well, then don't start selling tickets yet. I mean, you can move forward with the release of the schedule, and when you have a clearer picture of what's going to be going on here, in the fall, say maybe around training camp time, mid to late July, then you can start to make a decision on tickets. And this, of course, is all assuming that fans will be allowed in stadiums. And of course, that may not happen. So again, there's so much uncertainty right now, but hopefully at some point in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we will get a schedule release. Because I would really like to take a look at that schedule. Now, one last thing related to the schedule that I want to discuss. I saw that Roger Goodell says the league will have a contingency plan or more than one in the event the start of the season is delayed. Now, one of the scenarios that I heard that was being discussed was that the very max amount of weeks the season could be delayed and still get 16 games in would be 5 weeks. A 5-week delay would still allow the NFL to get a full 16-game schedule in with the hopes for a late February Super Bowl. Now, of course, with this delay, what things would change slightly, and this would be done by eliminating the bye weeks for each team. So that would be huge. Each team losing their bye week, and the Pro Bowl would be eliminated as well. So what that would mean is the two teams who are playing in the Super Bowl in 2021 would not get the 2 full weeks off to prepare for the game. So that would be a major difference. And I think this would be very difficult on the players. And I don't think the players would like that too much. Obviously, it's out of their hands. No bye weeks. That is going to be a big time issue, I have a feeling. Especially if they're doing those London games. I mean, I'm not sure how that's going to work, or those Thursday night games. So, that's all something I'm sure the league is considering while they're doing these schedules. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When I return, I will go through a recap of the draft, and I'll give you some of my thoughts on each pick. Okay, so don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Raiders fans always want to know the latest news about the Silver and Black. To get the latest news, views, and Raiders content from Las Vegas, visit silverandblacktoday.com. It's the only independent Raiders news site based in Las Vegas. With analysis, opinions, and breaking news, silverandblacktoday.com is your source for Las Vegas Raiders content. Visit silverandblacktoday.com. All right, we're back here on Just Pod Baby. So let's dive right into this draft now. I'm not going to give you grades or anything like that. I'm sure you've had enough of that by now. What I want to do is I want to discuss, do you think the Raiders filled their needs, and did they get value for their picks? That's where I want to start. Now, my answer to that question is both yes and no, and let me explain. Let's start with pick 19. I'm going to skip over the Henry Ruggs selection. Honestly, I just don't think there's a whole lot to say there. He was one of the top 3 receivers in the class. He has the 4.27 speed that we all know about, and we know the reason for the pick was all about speed. He offers some versatility. He will be used in the return game, so you can't argue the pick there. He's a great receiver, and I think he's going to be a good fit in that offense. But with Arnett, you can make a very strong argument that the Raiders might have reached. Mayock said in his conference call after round 1, some of you may have heard, that he fielded several calls about moving out of the 19 spot. Again, this is based on my opinion. Obviously, none of us know what was being offered to move up to pick 19, but I believe it was a gamble that was worth taking. I just really do. I think for the most part, many, including myself, have zero issues with the player, but more so with where he was selected. That's my only issue. I think Arnett fits exactly what they're trying to do, but I just wasn't a huge fan of where they got him. So I'm going to play you this first soundbite, and I want you to hear for yourself what Mayock and Gruden were thinking about Arnett and staying put at pick 19.
Yeah, I heard a lot of the media buzz that how far we reached for him and all the. There are people that have to do their jobs and make in the media. Heck, I was one of them, right? So I understand that. But at the end of the day, we did an awful lot of work on Damon Arnett. I'm talking about on the field, off the field, everywhere. I had a school visit there. We had 4 cross-checkers there. Their defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, is now the head coach at Boston College, where I played. I know Haf for probably 18 years. I know a bunch of guys on their staff. That's a long way of saying that we didn't think we reached. And if we could have moved down comfortably 5, 6, 7 spots, we might have. But we weren't going down much beyond that. And we really felt like he was probably going to go somewhere between 25 and 40, and he was our guy. And I'll tell you another thing. And while you're on the speed thing, the 4, 5, 6 is whatever it is. The slowest time we had on him from our scouts were 4.43 at the combine, and he plays that way to us. That didn't surprise me at all. When you want to talk about tough and feisty and competitive, and Pat, that's what John and I have been preaching. For the last 2 years since I've been there, anyway, is we're looking for competitive kids, and when you put the tape on. I defy you to find a more competitive corner anywhere in the country. He played played left, he played right, he played in the slot. He played a lot of the season with a cast on his arm that he broke and continued to play through. So when you talk about competitive, feisty people that don't mind lining up against the number one guy, and by the way, you're in a division with Kansas City, the Chargers, and Denver, all of whom are loading up on offense. We wanted a guy that wouldn't flinch, and we believe that's the guy.
I thought that was a very insightful response he gave you there with a lot of information that you may not have been aware of. And the most important point he made was that he believed, or they believed, I should say, Arnett would be selected somewhere between picks 25 and 40. And that they just didn't feel comfortable moving back any further than 5 to 7 spots down. So that leads you to believe that maybe it was a team or two in the bottom of round one who made them an offer to move up. I think the other interesting takeaway was about his comments about Arnett's speed. Arnett was clocked at a 4.56 at the combine. Mayak says they had a scout there that had him under a 4.5. So there was definitely some speculation there between what exactly, how fast is Arnett. And I did hear some say that he may or may not have been dealing with a sore hamstring. He may not have been 100%. We'll never know, but the speed was one of the concerning factors that I had about Arnett as well. Moving on to the third round picks, I really like the Lynn Bowden selection. He's not a guy that I knew a whole lot about going into the draft, but after studying him a bit, I think that he will bring a whole new dimension to this Raiders offense that we have not seen in quite some time. He's versatile. He can play receiver if needed. We know he did some quarterback for Kentucky, but he's going to be used as a running back for the Raiders. I think the plan also is to have him involved with the punt return game, so he's gonna offer some ability in the special teams as well. Now, the only two concerns I have with Bowden is, number one, how will he hold up in pass protection? That's a big thing with Jon Gruden. Can his running backs protect the quarterback? There's going to be a big learning curve for him there with that, because it's just something that he was never asked to do in college. He came in as a wide receiver, and then this past season was asked to make the move to quarterback mid-year. So he's never really had to deal with blitzing linebackers coming at him, okay? So that's going to be something he's really going to have to work on. Now, the second thing that I do have some concern about is not so much with Bowden, but Gruden. Will Gruden effectively be able to utilize his skill set? Gruden has a lot of new toys on this offense, and how he deploys all of these weapons will be a very big storyline this season. Now, if you're looking for value, I think you look no further than Bryan Edwards at pick 81. This is where they got some really good value here. This guy who, if it weren't for some injury concerns, most likely would have heard his name called in round 2. So I think they did a great job there. Let's take a listen at this next soundbite, and we're going to hear Mayak's thoughts on Bryan Edwards.
Yeah, Edwards, we had a second-round grade on, and we just thought the value was too good at 81, I believe. So we love the kid. Big body, strong, started over 40 games in the SEC, the number one receiver in the history of South Carolina, who's turned out some pretty good wideouts. We loved his physicality. You put the Alabama tape on and watch him run jet sweep against their front and knock the crap out of people, and you're just going to go, okay, that's a Raider. We love him. So we feel like he'll add an element where if we want to run crack toss with Josh Jacobs into the sideline, he'll knock down the defensive end, he'll knock down the linebacker. He ought to have a lot of production in the catch game, and we're excited about him. You mentioned Lynn Bowden from Kentucky, and for us, he's going to be a running back. And, he caught close to 70 passes at the SEC 2 years ago. Their quarterback went down early this past season, and he played quarterback at Kentucky and had close to, I think it was 1,400 yards rushing. So he's versatile, he's tough, he's quick. Again, he's competitive, feisty. He's going to learn how to play running back, and I think he's instinctive enough to do it with the ball in his hands. His biggest challenge will be pass protection.
Now I want to touch on the final pick in third round, and that was Tanner Muse out of Clemson. This is the pick that no matter what I hear from people, whether it's Mayock or Gruden or scouts or people on Twitter, this pick still does not make any sense to me. Again, it's not that I don't like the player, it's just I don't like the spot that he was taken. I definitely think this was a big-time reach. I get it. He loves football. He's smart. He runs 4.4. He can play safety. He can play linebacker. And that's where the Raiders plan to use him, by the way. And he's going to be a special team starter right away. He's going to need some time to develop as a linebacker. But I just think that this pick was made solely on upside. And I get that's kind of what you do. You try to project what these players will be in the NFL. But I just think in round 3 in this spot, they shouldn't have been shopping for, upside. I hope that I'm wrong, and there's a very good likelihood that I will be wrong. But at this moment, I feel that there were players available at linebacker that could step in right away and help this team from day one. I don't know if you get that from Tanner Muse. Let's take a listen to hear what Mayock had to say about his third round pick.
Everybody talked about Isaiah Simmons, and justifiably. He was all over the field. But in Brent Venable's defense, every week it's like an NFL structure in that they were a matchup defense, and they had matchup pieces. And Isaiah Simmons was the first. But how many times do you see two 230-pound safeties in college football? And Simmons would play safety at time, and Tanner Muse was playing safety at 230 pounds. He stuck his foot in the ground. He came off the edge against Texas A&M on a safety blitz, and they threw a screen pass to the same side over his head. He stuck his foot in the ground, turned, and chased this son of a gun down 30 yards down the field. Not only did I see an ability to run, but just the inherent hustle. You didn't even, obviously, to make that play, you don't even think about it. It's instinct. You stick your foot in the ground, you turn, and you go. And that got me. That was early in the year at Texas A&M. So as I'm studying all these guys at Clemson, I just kept going back to 19, saying he loves it. This kid loves football, and nobody talks about him. So we did a Zoom with him, and he was going to play safety for 4 years, and we questioned him for close to an hour on linebacker fits in the run game, and he knocked it out of the park. He knew everything about it. He was humble. He was intelligent. He'll come in and be one of our best special teams players day one, and over the next year or two, he'll learn both Will and Mike. And we feel like he's got a high ceiling. He's a 230-pound guy, runs 4.39, and loves football. So, Pat, I hope your eye and my eye are aligned correctly there.
Again, it's hard to argue all of those points. Very, very valid points there. And it just goes to show you that Gruden and Mayock are not interested in necessarily drafting the best player, but they're after a player that has the traits that they're looking for. And I just think that's more obvious than I've ever seen, especially as a Raiders fan. It might sound strange, that point I just made, but you got to be more than a good football player. They want hard workers. You need to love the game. You have to be tough, and of course, character. That's a big selling point for them. The final 2 picks came in round 4. They made a trade up to grab another Clemson guy, Big John Simpson, who plays guard, and that is now the 5th Clemson player taken in the last 2 years. It is remarkable how many players they've taken from Clemson. They really do feel that Clemson players are just kind of are more well prepared, or just kind of are cut from that cloth that they're looking for. I do like the pick. I think he was taken right where he should have been. I don't think there was, it definitely wasn't a reach. They did trade up to get him, which is fine. And they needed a guard. That was one of their needs, in my opinion. Incognito isn't getting any younger. He's 37 years old. He's just got a new 2-year contract, so he'll be 39 when that contract is up. And should they decide to move on from Gabe Jackson at some point, whether it's trade or cut, he can be let go following this upcoming season, which would say, and there would be no dead cap, I believe, and that would save the team $9.6 million. So that's certainly an option. Whether or not he plays great or not, we don't know that, but it is something, as you're looking ahead to the cap situation, could definitely play a factor in that. For now, though, Simpson will most likely compete with Denzel Good for that backup guard role. Now, the final pick in the draft is the one that has me the most excited, and it's not only because he was nice enough to hop on the line with me and join me on the show, but because he's just a complete bulldog. I mean, this guy you're going to love this guy. This might be the 2020 Max Crosby, okay? He could be the steal of the draft for the Raiders, and I would not be surprised if that is the case. And, of course, I'm talking about Amik Robertson. Talk about production. Go look at this guy's numbers at Louisiana Tech. I mean, outstanding ball skills. He did a little bit of everything. You know, he supports in the run game. He'll make tackles. He had tackles for loss. He did a little bit of everything. Passes defended, intercepting the ball. He's a game changer. He's a playmaker, and he is exactly what this defense needs. Now, he is a bit undersized, but he makes up for it with his confidence and his toughness. I mean, this guy's got swagger. You talk about players with swagger, this guy has it. Great pick here by the Raiders. I love it. To me, this is my favorite pick of the draft. Okay, so here's what Mayak had to say about Robertson.
And we took Amik Robertson, and I was on the phone with the defense coordinator that morning, Bobby Diaco, because I didn't think Robertson was going to be sitting there at 139, but I wanted to make sure I did my homework, and I know Diaco for years, and I just said, Bobby, I love him. He's 5'9", and tell me what's wrong with this guy aside from the height. He's smart, he's tough, he loves ball, he's pissed off because he's 5'9", and everybody thinks that, he's got an attitude, and so again, I look at that profile and I love it because the kid's got an attitude, he's got an edge, he had 14 interceptions, he's always around the ball, he competes. If he gets beat because he's 5'9", then that's my fault. That's not his fault. At the end of the day, he's competitive, he's tough, and we didn't go into day 4 expecting him to be there. Day 3 expecting him to be there in the 4th round. I was looking to trade down at a 139, but he kept staying there, and he was still there. And we had a few teams call us about a move down, and I just said to John, if Amik is still here at 139, we're good. If not, we'll move down. And I'll be darned if he wasn't. So we were excited about the competitiveness and the toughness of the entire group.
So those were some good thoughts there by Mayak. I hope that kind of gives some of you maybe out there who are, again, still a little bit uneasy about some of these picks and where they were made. I'm hoping this kind of brings you back down to earth. I know, again, I had some issues with some of the picks, but I do feel a lot better after hearing some of the thought process that went into these picks because, as fans, we don't get that inside scoop so much. So I thought this was a very good, insightful interview that he did on Sirius XM Radio, and that's why I thought I wanted to use it tonight. So overall, I'm going to put a bow on this segment here. Overall, again, I think that the Raiders did an excellent job filling needs. They picked up 2 wide receivers in Henry Ruggs and Bryan Edwards, who will complement each other very well. Now, Edwards may not get a lot of run early this season, but maybe his time will be next year, okay? Who knows what's going to happen with Tyrell Williams, but I do think these 2 guys really complement each other well, and I think they have a very good foundation at receiver now going forward with Ruggs, Edwards, and Hunter Renfrow, not to mention Darren Waller. Okay, so I like what they did at wide receiver, which was a huge need. They did address the cornerback position. They did take 2 cornerbacks. The jury's still out on Damon Arnett. We've heard Gruden and Mayak speak pretty highly of him. Say what you want about where he was selected. He does fit the profile that they are looking for. I spoke extensively about Amik Robertson. I think he'll be just fine. The only thing I can say about him is I think he'll be moved more. He'll be moved into the inside as a slot corner. Who knows how much time he'll see early on? They do still have LaMarcus Joyner there. Maybe they finally decide to move Joyner back to safety, where I think he's a better fit, and maybe you could see Robertson getting some quality time at the slot. They picked up a guard which I think they needed as well. They added some depth at running back with Bowden, and you got that developmental project Tanner Muse. So overall, I think it was an excellent draft for the Raiders. I think they filled needs. I think they did a good job getting some value at some picks. And again, there's some picks that I believe maybe they could have gotten a little bit more value out of. But overall, I like what they did. And I think this team is on paper, is in a much better place than it was just a couple weeks ago. Okay, after this quick break, I will be joined by my special guest today, and that is Amik Robertson, 4th round selection of the Las Vegas Raiders. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Just Pod Baby, part of the Silver and Black Today Media Group. Now we are joined on the line with our guest, and that is none other than Las Vegas Raiders 4th round pick cornerback Amik Robertson. Now, Amik, congratulations on being drafted. Let me be the first to say welcome to Raider Nation. We are extremely excited to have a player of your caliber join the team. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. I'm feeling great. I'm ready to work, man. Ready to compete and ready to win, most importantly.
Yeah, I imagine it's like a dream come true for you. This is probably something you've been waiting on for your entire life. So to finally have it come to fruition, it's just got to be a great feeling. Now, if you don't mind, I want you to take us back through the experience of getting that call from Jon Gruden. I know it was an emotional moment for you, all the hard work that you put in through the years to finally be fulfilling your lifelong goal. What was going through your mind at that exact moment, if you can put it into words for us?
Honestly, man, it was. I think when the call came, you know, at the time, it's like everything had left from my body. You know, just hearing Jon Gruden's voice, man, it was everything. It was everything because it was a long wait, you know, but it all paid off at the end, man. I'm glad to be a part of Raider Nation, man. Just talking to the head, man, Jon Gruden. You know, I could tell in his voice he was excited, you know, to have me on board, you know, and I told him, like, Coach, man, you're not making a mistake with this pick, you know, y'all getting everything out of me, you know, so it was a very and it was a very enjoyable moment.
Now, Amik, I heard you speak about current Raider Jonathan Abram the other day. It sounds it sounds like you have known each other for quite some time. Could you tell us a little bit about your friendship with Jon? And I'm also curious to know, have any of the other vets reached out to you to just kind of welcome you to the team?
Yeah, Josh Jacobs did. The head man called, and of course Jonathan Abram. You know, he reached out to me and was basically like, man, you know what time it is? 'Cause, like, you know, once I hear that, I already know what it is. 'Cause me and him go way back. You know. Me and him go way back. He signed with the same agency as me as well. And me and him been knowing each other for a while. You know, I think, and we also played against each other 2 years in a row. I think we played against each other my freshman year and my sophomore year. You know, just seeing him fly around the field, man, I'm like, man, that's first round talent. He like a bigger me. You know, me and him. You know, I tell him all the time, like, you know, you're a baller, bro, but you know, I'm a baller too, but I probably got better hands than you because he the type of person he wanna knock people out. You know, I want the ball. I do both, but I want the ball. You know, so you know, me and him joke about that all the time, man. But for Jonathan Abram, man, yeah, he's definitely like a big brother to me.
That's funny, man. It sounds like you guys are gonna have a great time playing together. That's funny. Now, I know you've only been a Raider for a few days now, and I'm not sure if you've had a chance to kind of look into some of the history of the organization at all. But I want to let you know right now, man, you are playing a position that over the years has been a very strong one for the Raiders. Now, you're a young man, so I don't expect you to know all of these names, but guys like Willie Brown, Mike Haynes, Lester Hayes, and most recently Charles Woodson. Some of these guys are Hall of Famers or soon to be Hall of Famers. So what is it like for you to have the honor of playing that same position and being able to carry on that rich tradition of cornerbacks in this organization?
It's a huge honor, man. You know, they got the right guy. They picked the right guy, you know, for that organization. That's why I say, you know, I constantly repeat over expectations I have that the organization have for me and the expectations I got for myself. You know, that's why I say, man, like, Raider Nation, you guys didn't make a mistake with this pick. Like, I'm the best guy for this position. I compete, I interact with the guys. I live up to all the hype that they need me to live up to. You know, only thing in my way is it's time. So I understand I have a very, very important role. I just can't wait to get started and get to work.
Now, Amik, one thing that, I've spent a lot of time kind of looking at some of your film since you were drafted, and above all the things that I've seen from you on tape, I love your mentality, and I just love your attitude that you have no fear. You're willing to do whatever it takes, and that's exactly what this organization needs. So I'm glad they made you the pick. And we are talking to Las Vegas Raiders 4th round draft pick Amik Robertson, joining us here on Just Pod Baby. Amik, I want to give you the opportunity to speak directly to the fans now. Raider Nation, I told you we are excited to have you, but for those fans that maybe have not taken the time to look at your college tape and studied your scouting reports, tell us exactly what the Raiders are getting in Amik Robertson, both on and off the field.
They're getting a guy, a very hard worker, passionate guy, that love the game of football, love everything about the game of football. Team guy, that's going to work hard to earn his respect. You guys, love me, y'all appreciate me, but this is only the beginning. My goal is to be legendary. And my goal is to make an impact early, on the team, and not only win games, man, but win championships, because that's what it's all about. That's what we play the game for, to win and win championships. So I just can't wait to get started, man. I'm honored and I'm glad to be a part of a great organization.
Now, I see on your Twitter, it didn't take you long to get started. You immediately, you didn't take any days off. You got drafted by the Raiders, and I saw you posting a video immediately to work. I love to see that, Amik. I love to see it. Now, you are joining a young secondary that includes second-year guys like Trayvon Mullen. We talked about John Abrams already.
Yep.
Along with a fellow rookie in the draft class with you, Damon Arnett. Now in college, you played primarily on the outside. You may be asked to move to the inside to play in the slot at the pro level. Speak to us on your versatility and why you have the ability to transition from an outside corner to a slot corner in the NFL.
Well, honestly, I feel like I'm a hybrid, man. I played 2 years. My freshman and sophomore years, I was playing corner at first and like third down or whatever. They would take a linebacker out and put a corner in, and I would move to nickel. And our base defense, I would go back to the outside. So and playing nickel, man, I love everything about it. Being closer to the ball, sticking the slot guys. I love everything about it, man. So I think it wouldn't be a hard transition at all. I'm a football player, man. Wherever you put me at, I'll be successful at it, and that's wherever you put me at. If it's corner, it's safety, nickel, whatever. Like I said, man, Raider Nation, they got a dog. They got a guy, all around DB. The only thing I wasn't blessed with, like I said, and I can't change it, is height. So when I make up for it, I just play bigger, So I think it'll be easy for me to translate to the inside, because I've been doing it, almost my whole college career.
I tell you what, man, you're getting me fired up. I don't know, but the people listening to this show, they are going to love you, man. I tell you, I love your attitude. I can't wait to see you out there. Now, when we look at your tape and your production at Louisiana Tech, and then we combine that with the glowing reports that are out there about you during this draft process. Obviously, you interviewed well, because I can just feel your passion through the phone here. Daniel Jeremiah said on national TV he thinks you are the best slot cornerback in the draft. So having seen yourself slip to the 4th round, does that give you extra motivation to want to prove people wrong that you should have been drafted higher?
I mean, yes, but I was going to do. Honestly, I was going to do that regardless. I was going to do that. That's why I put on my Twitter, man. There's no more hiding. There's no more doubts. Like, people always say, "Oh, well, he went to a smaller school. He's undersized." I'm on the National Football League, in the league on the highest stage. So like, it's no more excuses now. It's no more. People can't say, "Well, he didn't play high competition. He didn't." Now it's they have no choice but to respect me. But I would say that was probably some issues that I couldn't control, for as a lot of teams probably thought that I was still hurt, because this past month, a couple of months ago, I had surgery on my groin, and with the coronavirus, teams couldn't fly down and see me in person, so they probably thought I was still hurt. But like, I'm 120. I've been released from from that surgery since like probably like right before the combine. I just couldn't compete. but my agent said he didn't want me to keep because I wasn't, I didn't train proper like everyone else. I didn't have the time to train, so we was going to do everything pro day, but unfortunately pro day ended up getting canceled. So I would say that's why I probably dropped, but it's all good, man. I dropped at a perfect spot and I'm at a perfect place. So God is always good.
Yeah, that's an interesting story you have there, and I do. I think it all worked out well. I think you're going to like it. You're going to be a perfect fit for what the Raiders are trying to build here, and I think you'll see this is going to be a great spot for you. Now, I want to talk about your style of play for a minute. You are super competitive. You play in kind of like an all-out, in-your-face type of ball. It's obvious you love the game. Now, there's a reason Mike Mayock and Jon Gruden drafted you, and that's because you fit the mold of exactly the type of player that they want in this program. Now, I'm interested to hear from you. Is there anyone, past or present, that you've tried to mold your game after?
I would say the Tyrann Mathieu, the way he fly around the field, the way he's competitive, and the passion he plays with. He had that dog mentality, man, that never want to lose mentality, win more than you lose mentality. And that's what you want to go on the field with, man. He just have that swagger. And, I mean, I didn't get to compare. I mean, I didn't want to really compare myself to him, but a lot of people compare myself to him. I watch his game, and we do a lot of stuff similar. It's like I watch film on him, and that before the play even happened, I'd be like, oh, I knew he was gonna do that because I would have did the same thing, So, talking to Gruden and Mayock, man, they basically said, man, they want a guy with that juice, with that swagger, and I was the best fit. So, like I said, they made a great decision.
There, I like that comp. Now, here is the last question I have for you before I let you go. This will be a fun one for you. I've already heard you say that you're willing to do whatever it takes. You'll line up one-on-one with Tyreek Hill if that's what this team asks you to do. Is there a particular wide receiver out there that you are really looking forward to just kind of matching up against?
Of course, each and every day, I'm looking forward to matching up with Henry Ruggs every day at practice. But most importantly, probably outside of, other than Las Vegas Raiders, I would probably say, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, just because he's a speed guy, he's one of the best wide receivers in the league. So, who wouldn't want to face a great competitor, great guy like that? I mean, I'm looking forward to it. But until then, man, I, continue, grinding with my head down, man, try to elevate each and every day. So when that matchup come, I'll be prepared.
And you're certainly going to have your opportunity. You're going to see the Kansas City Chiefs twice a year now for the rest of your career. So that's the good news for you, and that's the bad news for Tyreek Hill. I can tell you that. Amik, we certainly appreciate your time today. And again, congratulations on being drafted by the Raiders. We can't wait to see you out there helping this team win games. In the meantime, stay safe and stay healthy. Keep working hard, my friend.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys, man. Go Raiders.
Okay, we're back for the final segment here. Just a few quick thoughts before we wrap this one up. First of all, big thanks to Amik Robertson for joining the show. I think the kid's got a bright future, and he certainly has the right attitude, so we are hoping for some big things from that kid this year. Well, you know what the music means. We're out of time for this week. Thanks to all of you who have already subscribed to the show, and those of you who have not yet, please hit that button now. You can find Just Pod Baby on all the big platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and new this week, you can find us on iHeartRadio. All right, guys, I'll talk to you next week. And as always, just win, baby.